Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and welcome back to a chaotic time within the Call of Duty scene. We've got the CDL deciding, at least for the short term, to get rid of control in place of another search and destroy to mixed reviews, but also OpTic Scrims looking increasingly good over these last few days. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, it's the best thing you can do. Tell the channel reach new people. Please consider subscribing as well if you have not yet already. I started a Valorant channel kind of recently, a couple of months ago now. It's only at like 3,000 subs, but it's growing very quickly indeed. And I really want this channel to hit 100k before that channel does, but honestly, it's not out of the question. If you want to help make that, well, I guess dream reality, then, well, hit the red button. You guys know how it works. Firstly, let's talk about Caldera and all that stuff going on right now on the Warzone side. So yesterday, this new Warzone map came out, and like, I don't really play Warzone, don't really follow it too closely, but really mixed reviews. Well, let's say mixed reviews for some people. Some people just straight up say negative reviews, right, which is kind of crazy, really, given, you know, the fact that this new map comes out and already doesn't really seem like there's much honeymoon period with this new map. Everyone doesn't really seem to like it, at least in terms of, you know, content creators and stuff like this. As Clayster says, every streamer I switch to playing Caldera is just running up a rocky hillside. Like, what is going on this map? And as Dachi says, literally it's just Verdansk, but cardio edition, not even trolling, says Dachi. So kind of funny, I thought, really. But of course, there are some other implications here, because, well, as Dr. Disrespect says, and generally it seems the opinion of a lot of the creators, like, okay, wow, like, what even is this? Too boring. Like, why am I running up a hillside? And yeah, I'll definitely intrigue to your perspective on the new map down below, because it does have some implications for competitive, right? Because, okay, let's say Warzone isn't as popular as it was before. What does that mean? Well, like, what do Activision do? Right? Do they double down on Warzone, trying to make a new map, trying to make that better? Or do they think, okay, maybe let's give some support now to the competitive Call of Duty community that always tends to be there? I kind of doubt the latter will be true, but you never know what happens. This also, though, from TJ, because it turns out the Caldera is actually still going to run, I'm pretty sure, on the Modern Warfare engine, the original Warzone engine. That's what's happening. And I think this is maybe not necessarily a last-minute change, but I think a lot of people thought it would run on the new kind of Vanguard engine they've got going on with the new Vanguard movement. That's not the case, and therefore, like, there was a fair bit of talk really from some of the pros, that Scump talked about this, that's certainly on some of the OpTic podcasts before, that it's been frustrating during Cold War not to really be able to play Warzone at the same time and do that kind of streams while they're also, you know, they stream Scrims and they go to play Warzone, because it's not the same engine, therefore it takes different getting used to. But it's still not the same engine on Caldera, I believe, as what you're playing on Vanguard. So that's kind of once again an issue really from the pro players. Maybe next year when we get Modern Warfare 2022, then you know, it's going to be perfectly fine and sunshine and rainbows, because Warzone will still be on the same thing. But for now, it doesn't seem that that's the case. So I think that's really unfortunate on the surface for some of these players. And it's the flank say, really, as Go says here, when you sacrifice a good competitive game to focus on Warzone, just to disappoint the entire Warzone community. So yeah, from all fronts right now, it's just not looking particularly good. But the personalities are certainly still here to carry the scene. One of which is Method. He tweets this out, new header. Now, you know, just the fact that he said this does make me think something might be going on with regard to that 12th spot, because we would imagine if there is a 12th team, it's probably going to be Method's team that gets picked up as that 12th roster. This is now his header, so I imagine that previously this was something like this. I'm not really sure what it was, but of course, thank you, Toronto, this time as up. I'm pretty sure like it was some sort of image of him like in a Toronto jersey. I'm not exactly sure, but something along those lines. Now it's a question mark, implying, right, that he's going from Toronto to a new destination, rather than he's just going to be a streamer on his own right. You would imagine this indicates he's going to be joining some sort of organization, hopefully as a player if the 12th spot does come through, because we saw from Astro maybe a week or so ago now, he was discussing, yes, 12th team is a likely possibility. We're in like final discussions with an organization to close the deal. Not sure what organization that's going to be. I guess we'll have to wait and see, because we thought it was going to be Washington. That's no longer the case, but there I would imagine is a decent chance that if there is a team that gets picked up from Challengers just straight into the Pro League, which would make a lot of sense, right, given the fact that they don't really have the time to put together a general manager and scout some players and bring some players in. They've basically just got to, well, put together a squad that is pretty damn good, and Method's team right now in Challengers probably fits the bill on that money, to be honest. But let's talk about some scrims that were going on last night then. This I thought was pretty interesting, the OpTic scrims up against Los Angeles Thieves. We saw Crimsix saying yesterday that yes, despite they lost that series 4-0 to Paris, I think they bounced back and actually beat OpTic like 3-1 in a scrim or something yesterday. But of course, Los Angeles Thieves, they haven't been playing as much as the OpTic guys have. They were a little bit behind the time because they had to move out to Los Angeles, and Octane hasn't really been playing all that much of the game due to similar reasons, so I think they're a little bit behind some of the other rosters. I'm pretty sure they've only been scrimming properly for about a week at this point, so definitely they're going to be behind OpTic and the other rosters, but you'd imagine they'll catch up relatively quickly, and of course, well, it's not great to be behind for too long. So they play up against OpTic last night. This, for example, on BACKLASH, I was honestly amazed at this, because usually nowadays, this map does not go to 250, right? It always goes to time, and because it's just so contest heavy, and it's honestly chaos on the map all the time. But to be fair, OpTic actually win a game at 250, which is a a rarity really at this point on BACKLASH. It does make me think probably if there is a map to go from the rotation at some point with something else coming in, this might be the map that goes. Now, well, they play an entire scrim set with 7 maps right here. They don't decide to replay Kavutu. I don't really think people like that one too much as well, to be honest, but, you know, Tuscan's pretty good. Berlin people generally like, but, I mean, yeah, BACKLASH and Kavutu not necessarily the fan favorites right now, at least from the pro side, which isn't really great, but there's only 2 maps in the game out of 16 that are actually liked. But OpTic win this scrim set 7-0. They dominate the Berlin. I mean, they win this pretty comfortably, to be honest. And of course, like, it's scrims, it's practice, doesn't really matter too much. And of course, Los Angeles Thieves have only started practicing relatively recently, but just shows that OpTic seem to be on another level right now to some of these other rosters. This also, they play up against the Minnesota Rokkr just after this, and this was similarly comfortable, right? 4-0. So OpTic didn't even lose a scrim in at least a map in scrims on the day up against Los Angeles Thieves and the Minnesota Rokkr. So impressive stuff, I thought, no doubt. Definitely difficult to determine what the power ranking should be going into this upcoming season. OpTic have certainly got to be right up there, though, at least on pre-season form. It's just a shame that we don't have any of these 2Ks and stuff between the pro teams like we used to have back in the day to actually get an idea of how these teams are looking in a proper tournament setting rather than just practice. Because, you know, I wish we could talk about proper tournaments here and how they were going online like Halo has rather than just practice and trying to glean things from this side of things. Also, Los Angeles Thieves, just to see how they are matching up against Method squads, that being Methods, Venom, Paulex, and TJ Halley, I believe. And they played one scrim set right here, then they played another one, they played another couple of maps, and it ended up 4-3 in favor of Zinni's team. So kind of interesting to think about, really. And yeah, maybe they get signed somewhere, as we did, of course, just look at. Let's talk about this then from the Call of Duty League. This certainly had very many mixed reviews between, well, some of the amateur players, some of the pro players as well, chiming in on this issue. So, well, this is what they go on to say. The Challengers update. We knew a few days ago there was a lot of frustration, really, especially when Control came into the game, and it just basically doesn't work as it is intended to. Squad spawns in Control are just straight up not going to work. Now, you know, we were really hoping that at launch we'd actually get a reasonable third game mode. Obviously, that didn't happen at launch, and even when Control does finally come out, it's clearly not in a particularly playable state. So let me bring this up on screen for you guys just so you can see it. Basically, for Challengers Cup 1 and 2, so they're doing one this upcoming weekend and one, I'm pretty sure, the next weekend. They're not going to award any Challengers points. So I believe the prize pool they have is still in play, but effectively they're admitting the game right now is not in a particularly competitive playable state. At least, like, Hardpoint is okay, Search and Destroy is kind of okay, but like there certainly are some bugs that we would like to get fixed, and the third game mode just isn't really viable. Now, of course, the ideal situation really is they can do the Challenger stuff as intended, so that they can get a good idea of how they're going to run things for the competitive side of things for the actual CDL, right, for the pro side. But, I mean, they're still going to run these cups. I think a lot of the Challengers players were saying, look, we should just delay them to January until we have an actual proper competitive third game mode. But, I think, if anything, that's optimistic thinking that Cellium are actually going to come out and fix the issues with the Control effectively, right? So it might have to be a situation if you just get on and play with it. But anyway, they're not going to award any points for this, and they're actually going to change that third map that would have been a Control for another Search and Destroy. This, I think, is somewhat controversial. Some people were even suggesting we should just go to Domination because squad spawns in Domination aren't like the worst thing in the world, whereas they can be in some of these other game modes. Or you just say, okay, let's have another Hardpoint or another Search and Destroy. Now, the problem with another Hardpoint is, I guess, in terms of vetoes, there's really not enough maps to deal with it in. But even then, in Search and Destroy, it's somewhat tough to say. There's enough maps to actually go through a proper veto to work this out. But anyway, that's what they're going to do. They're going to get rid of Control for now, and Search and Destroy comes in as the additional third game mode. I do wonder what you guys think about this as a possibility, right? Because let's say they just straight up don't fix Control and nothing changes on that front. Like, I mean, what do we do for the actual CDL, right? Like, does Domination come through? Does Control get played anyway, even though it's completely broken? Like, we've seen the spawns that are not in a particularly good spot at all. And, of course, well, the way the rotations work just doesn't make any sense, really, when players can spawn right on the hardpoint or right on the Control point when they've got squad spawns with their teammates. It just doesn't make any sense. It really just doesn't play well at all. So, I mean, for right now, they're just getting rid of it. I think most people would say, look, let's just put another hardpoint in as the third game mode rather than another Search and Destroy. But maybe another Search and Destroy would be okay. I don't really know what you guys think about that. I think for this situation, it's probably okay, but I mean, yeah, certainly some of the players weren't particularly happy about it. As Kismet says, I'm done trying this as a joke. I'm not really sure exactly why there was so much frustration about this. Of course, the fact that the cups will not award Challengers points, I'm pretty sure for the Cup 3, then they will take some of the Cold War Challengers points to make that work. But yeah, definitely some mixed opinions on this, because as Xi says, 3 S&Ds, do they just not listen, right? Which, I mean, probably is a fair comment in the sense that generally it seems like we are having a one-way communication type thing here with the CDL in general. People say stuff. Generally, I think, like, at least on the Challengers front, they do listen. They do have guys that are listening to the community and what they think. But I think the general perception was maybe we go down the route of 3 hardpoints or something. I'm not really sure people were really suggesting 3 Search and Destroys. Maybe they think it's better for whatever reason. Maybe it is better for whatever reason. But I I mean, still, it's not exactly something that people were asking for, kind of as we discussed yesterday with the whole leaked format that we talked about. This also, as Tristan Spoof says, gonna be honest, it's a little confusing playing for absolutely nothing but practice, but you know, this delays the season, so what is everyone complaining for, right? Which I think is fair enough. People asked for the cups to be delayed, and now they're getting played anyway, but for still the money, but for not any, you know, points on the line, which seems like a very reasonable alternative, really, for the CDL, to be honest. They're saying, okay, look, you know, we won't let these count for anything, there's no points on the line, but you guys get an opportunity to practice in a tournament setting, and, okay, we're gonna get rid of control for now, this type of stuff. Seems like a reasonable announcement on the whole, but I mean, yes, people will still complain regardless. And as Simp says, anyone complaining is comedy. For once, teams can practice and stick before it gets serious, but watch no one take these serious, then after Cup 3, half the team split and will just rage more. You know, practice, of course, probably in a tournament environment. I'm sure, you know, Simp is kind of wishing that the Call of Duty pros had a similar opportunity to play, well, something like this in a similar setting, right? They can actually play in a competitive setting with their full team as a roster, rather than just playing scrims, right? And he's kind of right, probably, about especially the North American challenger scene, that, you know, people won't take these cups particularly seriously, and then when they don't do well in the Cup 3, then the entire rosters will just collapse and change up, as tends to happen in that region. But, yeah, I kind of agree with Simp, really. I'm not really sure what people are complaining about. I just think the interesting part of this is they've decided to go with another search and destroy instead of that control. And, well, if things don't get fixed, maybe that's what we see in the CDL for this year. Just to finish off with this, because maybe it was yesterday or the day before, I was theorizing on the kind of Doug Martin jersey analysis. And like, okay, if he actually goes to a LAN event, is he going to be allowed to play shirtless? Are they going to have to put a sleeveless jersey on him? Like, how well is he going to play in that compared to being shirtless? Or he seems to be at full force right now. But as Minnesota Rokkr say, if there was a CDL event in Minnesota, who would come along to it? So, kind of interesting, right? They're maybe hinting that, well, it's a possibility there's going to be an event there. We discussed yesterday these kind of major tournaments. Are they going to be hosted by particular teams? I would say that's rather likely. Now, maybe Minnesota are hinting that, okay, we're going to do another one. They got the launch weekend right all the way back in the start of 2020 season for Modern Warfare. Maybe they've got another one lined up this season. And Doug says, can I play shirtless? Was there any other option? Says Minnesota Rokkr. So maybe Doug Martin, if there is like a Challengers tournament in addition to this, we could be in for some positive things this year, even though in general it's been tough to stay optimistic, let's just put it that way. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit in a like button, tells the YouTube gods this is a good video, and it's like you should see it as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.